too. These are big limes. Wow, that's one of the best smells.
Okay.
Wow.
And they all come out of their hearth.
So today's a holy Buddha day.
It is. End of Buddhist Lent.
End of Buddhist Lent.
Same.
So the whole village is descending upon the temple today. Like literally, Pa, she's been up cooking since like 5 a.m. and she was like even doing a whole bunch of stuff yesterday because of Dad's foot. He's got this kind of fun little thing. So we're gonna follow him down and gonna see some fun stuff down at the temple, huh?
Yes.
Yes. It's very early. Only just had coffee. Very high protein, healthy diet for the monk. I'm not 100% sure what this ceremony is. Apparently there's a few of them throughout the year, and I think they typically coincide with like when Buddhist monks can or cannot like collect money and stuff from people. And so they throw like this massive ceremony. Everyone from the village comes in and they kind of like rotate around this temple 3 times, and each time the whole village basically gives them food, items, money, all sorts of stuff they can't keep they give to the poor, stuff they can keep I guess keeps them sustained. Great racket, big event. Are you able to just tell us your name and tell us what are you doing growing rice in Thailand?
Name's Jerry Carter. Happened to the old man or the person taking the film. I had a different sort of job back in Australia, which was airline pilot. Met this Thai lady, ended up getting married, and when I retired about 7 years ago, I moved up here. Her family used to grow rice, so I did it for 1 or 2 years, because trying to learn the game. And then I realised that there's a better way to do this than just the old-fashioned way of killing the soil at the same time. So I've started this organic, and this is my plot of sticky rice. It's about 2 to 3 weeks from harvest.
Did you know anything about growing rice before you got here?
Good question. No, the answer is no. I know nothing about it, just what I've read on YouTube. Basically, I've been in this village area for about 14 years, married 12 years ago, and so I've gleaned the information from the locals on how to grow the rice. But yeah, they grow the rice with the chemicals, but they still grow the rice. For 5 years I did the same as them and got good yields. I used to get between 9 and 10 tons of rice when I was using chemicals. Now I've started using organics. The first couple of years it's only 3 or 4 tons for all our rice. Last year was up to 5 tons, and I'm expecting about 7 tons this year. So 7 or 8 tons bring me back to about 80% my yield. That's because I've given the soil time to recover from the poisons and from the chemicals you've thrown in.
Were there any mistakes that you made early on?
It's just that nothing's the same every year because of the rain. We have what they call rain-fed rice, not water-fed like Bangkok area where they've got big lakes and dams. They pump water in, they pump water out. We can't. We've just got whatever the rain gives us, that's what we get now. The rains might come early, they might start early, start high, start low. You know, last year we had a perfect start of the year, and I thought it was great. And our rice was about 1 month old and around about 30 centimetres tall, or maybe 20 centimetres. And then we had floods. We come through, and I had a metre of water over the rice fields. And I know rice loves water, but doesn't like underwater. So we lost all our rice. So I had to replant the whole lot. Another 3 hectares I had to replant again with as the floods receded. So yeah, no. Mistakes. Every day make mistakes. You're a farmer, you always make mistakes. Oh, look at that. See, feed the cow. Wow, very good.
How have the locals reacted to a foreigner farming rice here?
Well, they think it's novel, And that's the first thing. And then they come down and say, oh, and then sometimes I'm land leveling in very hot temperatures before the rice season, and they would jump off their tractors at 35, 38 degrees, while I'll stay there to 40, 42 degrees. It doesn't seem to worry me, and they think I'm crazy because I'm out in I've got a cover on the couverture, so it doesn't affect me.
What's the sort of annual cycle of rice? Like, what are the things you need to do throughout the year?
After you harvest, you're left with maybe a wet soil and some ground stalks. And normally from the harvester, the hay, the leftover from the harvesting is thrown out onto the ground, and normally you recover some of that grass to feed your cows. People then take the grass away from the fields. Now, normally they let it fallow because in this dry area, we only get rain for about 4 months of the year. All the rest of the time it's a desert. To that end, we can only grow one rice crop per year. We don't have water like Bangkok has, and they have 2.5 crops per year. So nothing will grow there. But over my research, I want to sort of inject some nitrogen into the soil in the off season. So I researched it, and now I grow, in this one, I grow mung beans, and about a month before I need to seed and plant, I cultivate, I turn it in, I rotary it, and then let it set for about 3-4 weeks, and then I rotary again, I land level, and then I'm ready for seeding again. So basically I prepare my soils by growing a nitrogen fixing crop, so I don't have to use the high chemicals that other farmers do. About a month prior to the wet season. Now you've got to look at the skies and say, when's the wet season going to start? Typically anything between middle April through to middle June. So there's a wide span, and you just got to follow the weather maps and so forth and have an idea. The Thai government normally announces when the wet season starts, but that's after it's rained a lot and they can see it's going to rain a bit further in the future. So they said, okay, the wet season starts tomorrow. So they don't give us any forewarning. So it's up to us to actually indicate. Normally, because I'm a bit more educated in the weather situation from my previous job, I follow quite closely, and I can sort of predict when the rains will come within 2 weeks. So I'm normally the first people to plant here, and because they said, oh, it hasn't rained yet. Yes, but it will rain in next week. And so when I dry seed, I drill seed it, and I drill seed dry, so it can stay in the ground for a year, and as long as the ants and things don't eat it. But you can actually drill seed the rice, and then when the rains come, it germinates, and away we go. So you can get all the work done prior. I invested in a mouldboard plough, and the mouldboard plough actually, regardless of how much grass is on the surface, it actually, once you've got the mouldboard underground, actually just turns the clods over, and actually it's quite easy. And then I let it sit there for maybe a month or 3 weeks to a month, so it breaks down, the grass will break down underneath the ground, and provides me a nice compost top layer of about 10 centimetres. That's nice and fertile for my next growing, for next rice crop. So that's what I do, and then it grows. That's you wait for the rains and hope for the rains.
Where do you sell the rice? Where does the rice end up?
Once we harvest it, we have to dry the rice. We harvest the rice around about 24% water moisture, but to store rice you need about 14 to 12% water moisture, otherwise it'll go rotten. So you can sell it in the market, but because everyone cuts rice at the same time, the same year, the price of rice at the co-op only drops down to about 10 baht per kilo. So you lose a lot of money because you need the money straight away, which I don't. Then we bag it, and then we put it into a rice storage shed. And then when the prices go up, which is normally in the July, August of each year, and then we sell it then.
Do you think other locals might end up farming this way?
I think it would. We've got a boss of the village, and he's very proactive to do environmental friendly things, and but he's not totally convinced on organics. But having said that, he actually got my brother-in-law to make a attachment to the back of his tractor, which is a big bin that actually you put cow manure in there, and it runs off the PT over the tractor and turns around and it dispenses all the dried cow manure over his field. So he's got probably about half an hectare under organic rice. He's just trying it out to see how he goes.
So he built this himself?
Yeah.
So this is 100%?
100%. It was just a motor and just some metal that he got.
And he built a tractor? Wow.
That's all it was, and then he put this hydraulic system.
What are you working on next?
As a farmer, you always work on many things. I take it easy a bit more, and biggest thing is cutting grass. Grass grows here wildfire, and my rider mower, I just go down and the rider mower makes short work of it, but you still need a whippersnapper thing to go around trees and bits and pieces. So it's a never-ending job cutting grass, which part of my wife does a marvellous job since my accident.
Any advice you'd give to people looking to grow rice?
You've got to be there for a while and learn from others, locals, how to do it before you jump in as a foreigner, as saying, oh, I've studied tech college, I had to grow rice, I'll do these methods. Every soil, every rainfall, every climate's different. So the locals have been here since day one, so they know what the soil is like, the rainfall, how intermittent it is, when it does, what it looks like, and so they're best to learn from them, and then slowly introduce technology into it. As a foreigner, come to do it from day one, unless you've got farming instincts and you've done some farming before. It's a tough thing, and you've got to be flexible. You've got to admit you're wrong, and people will tell you you're wrong, and you say, oh, okay, and I'll try it that way next time. You go, oh, you're just a Thai person. What will you know? Yeah, I'm a Western. I'm smarter than you, but you're not really. Everyone's in this learning game. It takes a few years to get the act together. And at the moment, I've got to a situation that I'm very happy with the organics. It's now the third, fourth year of organic farming, and it's starting to show. You can show you pictures from 2 years ago, and you can walk around the rice fields because there's no water and hardly any rice. But we've just built the soil up. It's everything to do with the soil. Read books about how good the soil is, and the soil will actually provide your life for it. And there's a book that my son put me onto. It's called One Straw Revolution. It's a Japanese farmer, and I read that. Some things are a bit way out, but some things are very accurate regards keeping your soil sweet, keeping your soil. Let the soil decide what it needs. Let the weeds decide whether they want to grow or not.